It's my page.
Oh, that's good. I shared it to my page. Hello, everybody that's there watching us live, which you're probably not right now because it takes a bit for this to actually connect and start up. I'm aware of that. So that's why sometimes there's a little bit of waffling as we fine-tune what we're doing and etc. just on that end bit before we start. So hi, everyone. I'm Ros Boundy and we have Leanne Winston here as well.
Hi all. So, hope you're all doing really well today.
Yeah, I hope so too.
It's a beautiful day. The sun's out.
Oh, it's gorgeous. It was a beautiful day yesterday too. Only because it was my birthday. I mean, I'm going to plug that. No one else does.
So did you have a lovely birthday? I didn't get a chance to ask you before we come live.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like it was a fair bit of driving, but it was just lovely to actually be out and about because I would have to realise for myself even that I spend a fair bit of time in a house all the time in front of a screen. Not TV, it's this, the computer. So it's lovely to get out. So, and we do have a few starting on the list with comments already. Thank you, Samantha and Natasha. Good morning. So,
good morning, guys.
Yeah. So as we very quickly, sort of thought, what are we going to talk about? Do we really need to set a set topic, or we just go with the flow because that's what we do? And it did come up just living in our, standing in our own energy and being responsible for that and all the things that are happening around us. So you've got a few ideas around that too, don't you, Leanne?
Yeah. And I quite often see it in my clients, and it's sort of like we're all different. We all handle life differently, and the pressures and everything that we're put on. And one thing I'm sort of finding in myself, and I'm getting frustrated with others, and I guess because of what I do and being through my studies and my training, I've got the ability to look at the bigger picture in that side of it. So a lot of it is, for me, and my frustration at the moment is more about looking at others and how they're dealing with things in their life. Now, I'm not saying there's right or wrong in the way that we deal with stuff, but it's kind of like I can, from the outside view, it's easier to see in and see how people could change things, the tools that they could use that I guess I've learned through my experience, and Ros, you're probably the same. We all have our own tools through our own lives, and we've got to go through this stuff to learn from it and experience how to use this stuff to be able to move forward. So I guess for me at the moment, I'm finding, looking at a lot of people are going through a lot of drama in their lives at the moment, a lot of challenges, but they are things that, from my point of view, could quite easily be turned around. If people could understand the way energy works, the way we take on stuff, the way we get caught in that energy, and it's kind of like we can become the victim in that without realizing, I guess, is probably more to the point, because we don't obviously choose to be the victim for one reason or another. We do get stuck in that energy.
Although, as far as some people do choose to be the victim because it actually serves their own purpose for that. But I think essentially there's most people don't actually perceptively, consciously choose that position in their life, and that gets to soul contracts too, which we won't go into this one.
That one could be a very in-depth conversation. Yes. But it's kind of like sometimes we don't even recognise we're in that state, sort of thing. So, it's about taking a step back every now and then. And I always say this to my clients, take a step back out of the hustle and the bustle of every day. Take a moment for yourself. Stand with 2 feet firmly on the ground. Take a deep breath and just breathe. And when you're doing that, you're centering your energy. You're raising your vibrations, which will quite often make it easier to see the bigger picture with that side of it. Yeah, Samantha, some people do thrive on drama. And that's where I get frustrated as well, because I've got to a stage, and it was funny because I was only having a conversation this morning, trying to brush my teeth when my mum rang, and I'm trying to go, she's like, I just wanted to chat, and I'm like, Mum, I've got to brush my teeth. I've got to quickly throw a bit of makeup on. I'm going live shortly. So I'm brushing my teeth, going, yeah, talking to her. And, I said to her, I've got to a stage in my life, and I don't know if it's just my age or what it is, that I can't be bothered with people with drama. I'm there. I'm the first to offer a hand. But if you want to sit in that energy and you want to keep it going, even though, there could be a way out and you choose to ignore that, I step away now. I've done it with some family members. I've done it with friends over the years. And as I'm getting older, I'm getting less patient with it.
Well, I think too, it is that aging process, of course, because I had the birthday yesterday. I'm thinking, well, it's the last year in the current decade that I'm living, and every experience has built up to that. I did a very quick minute live or something, just using the Facebook Live itself, not the Be Live, and you really do come to a place where that knowledge does emit more as wisdom, and it's more wisdom to self. It's not that I'm going to go out and push it to everybody else, although I think that's part of our responsibility, is to share that, look, it does get easier. It does get to a point where you are able to use your own experiences and learnings to change that perspective for yourself and help others to do that. So, it's that rolling part of what is purpose in life, because you do sometimes wonder, what is the purpose? And thinking, well, we're animals here on a big planet. What are we supposed to be doing? Well, it's learning and evolving and sharing it with others. So, and I like that Amber's stated too. I'll just show you that too, as far as it's not got time for the negativity. You can change your perspective to being the positive. So
we can. And, we all have negative energy in our lives, and it's if we want to keep it rolling. I always say to people, and I stand by this, you get stuck in the negative, you manifest the negative energy. Look at the positive, and that will gradually overtake the negative. So the positive will manifest more positive energy with that. And, I was thinking about it after I spoke to Mum this morning for that quick second while I was filling my glass and that, and I'm thinking, we've got to have this drama in our life. It teaches us, but what is the lesson in that as well? So, we've got to look at the bigger picture, look at the lesson in why this stuff is happening, look at how we grow from it, and do we choose to change? Okay, we all have choices in our lives.
And it is actually using that to move ourselves forward and help others to do their moving forward too, if they're going to listen and learn from us. And it's not that every time that we interact with people that it's going to be a big effect for them. It can be just in the the smallest little detail they pick up years later and think, oh, I wonder where I heard that from. Or, just a little thing that changed the direction for them that made a big difference.
Exactly.
That's not our responsibility to do anything with that. It's for those around us to take their own learning from it.
Exactly. And I'm all for helping people to learn and to share the tools that I've learned through what I do and through the guidance of spirit. Choose to love me. Yeah, beautiful. And to be able to, make that change and help themselves. And I'll put my hand out. I'll help anybody, the stranger, whoever. But, there comes a time that I've had to do this in my life, that because I get people come to me knowing what I do, I guess, wanting me to fix them. And I will help give you the tools to make those changes in your life. But if you're not willing to do the work, there comes a point that I've got to pull the plug, so to speak. And I've done that with people in the past, because I now get to the point that if I volunteer my time to help somebody, I'll tell them, I'll give you 3 warnings. The third time I'm out, sort of thing. It's kind of like giving them that kick up the ass. I'll help you. You take the tools and you show me that you're willing to do the work on yourself. And if they don't, I just was reading Samantha's comment.
Yes.
And, we can only help people to a certain point. They need to help themselves, sort of thing. So that's where I draw my line.
Yeah, I think too, for myself, what I've noticed over time, I mean, 3 actually is a big number for me, because it is the 3rd that my birthday is on. And so much of what my own numerology is around the 3s and the multiples of 3s and that sort of thing. And I think a lot of the messages myself that I've received through spirit or even other avenues that just pop up, and it's whether you call it synchronicity or the energy just melding together to be that synchronous, if that's a word.
Synchronicity.
I'll have to look that up in the dictionary later. But it is, you really do need to also have your own boundaries around that being, that avenue of helping others, because ultimately it does come down to every person. It's their own responsibility to actually take what they're learning and move on with it, to grow it, to learn from it, to change things if they don't like it, put the energy in. So many cliches around now where it's focus, where the wolf you feed is the one that's going to grow, and so much of that type of thing. Don't you think? Like, the tools are there.
Definitely. Oh yeah, that's it. And I think as time's going on and you look at the way the universe is at the moment, it's starting to open up. I call this year, it's like an awakening year where people are starting to come. You're welcome, Paula, honey. People are becoming more in touch with themselves, and they're being forced to sort of put themselves first. And for years, for one reason or another, we've had to put everybody else first and focus on others, a lot of us, where now the tables are turning, and it's like we're getting that kick up the arse to go, okay, what is it that you want? What is it that you're wanting to do on that soul level, sort of thing, and needing to step forward into that power, into that strength. And, when we do that, everything else is going to follow. So those around us it's kind of like we'll lead by example, sort of thing. So I want to say, look at what's going on in your life at the moment and look at how you need to maybe make some changes and what those changes are that serve you firstly. Everything else, everybody else will follow you. But you've got to be the one that's in control of that.
And that's where this segues into what Samantha's just has commented. You help them and they backstab you as well. Yes, that does happen. And it's something too that really, for what you are living as part of your life and what your journey is in learning and improving and moving it on for you, you're not, like, as far as it's don't pick up what is the other person's responsibility. If they backstab and do the dirty stuff behind your back and all that sort of stuff, well, it's not your responsibility. It's none of your business. Like, leave that alone, because that then will drag your energy down, because you're taking notice of that. Only be who you are in your own strength, your own energy, what you want to grow, and ignore that. And if it means that they are friends and they're doing that, you just, well, sorry, you're not fitting my energy. You're not fitting where I want to be or where I want to go. And you just move on from it. So that's just how I respond with that one.
And see, so many people at the moment, or this year, are in their own heads. And I guess over time we've had to be, the last few years, with the way the universal has sort of rolling in the energy side of it. But it's like at the moment people are so in their head, and this is where the anxiety and the depression also is kicking in as well, sort of thing, because we don't know how to change the old habits. And some of us are getting that frustration where we are wanting to do it. Because are coming on, we are walking and seeing, choosing powerful, beautiful, honey. That's great, Amber. And you know what? And I think it's people like you, Amber, that are doing that are going to step forward. Okay, you're going to move forward because you choose to be. Okay, you're letting go of the old ways, the old habits, and that you're moving forward quite quickly in that sense. The ones that want to sit and be the victims or be stuck in that negative energy aren't going to go anywhere. Yeah, exactly, Samantha. So, honey, I get this frustration around you with this topic as well, hun. So whether you're finding that you're now starting to step into your own power and take that back, to be responsible for yourself, so to speak, I just get this change there. So that's great.
And I'll just put this one up as far as Tina's. It does cover our faces, but who cares? Exactly right. So Tina, she's exhausted herself and gone backwards in helping people, learning that you need to be a little more selfish, but it's not in that selfish way of being, holding everything to yourself and not going to share. That's what I'm taking from what you're saying. It's it's not that being a selfish person. You can care without putting yourself last. So, and that is so true. That's part of having your own boundaries around what you are going to share and be with other people. And it doesn't mean being fake. It's just being true to yourself.
Oh, do you know what? That's another subject I'm frustrated with at the moment is fake people. Fake people, people that don't want to help themselves, and people that are so judgmental. You know, those three things have really got. I don't know what it is at the moment. I don't know, Ros, are you feeling a difference in the energy these last 4 or 5 days?
Oh, look, yeah. Yes, in some ways it feels heavier, but I think it's probably that I just choose to have that lighten off. So, I mean, for me, it probably has been a choice. So I haven't noticed it as much, even though I'm reading that some of it is there. And I sort of think, you know, it's part of that choice, the not looking at the negative, only seeing the positive. I don't have the TV on very often, you know, things like that. And it is something too that in chatting with someone recently, I can't think who it was, doesn't matter. In my generation, I grew up without mobile phones. I grew up without having, you know, without sitting in front of a TV screen all the time. I grew up with being able to go out and play without the security factor of what so many parents have fear of for their kids. And all of that sort of thing. And definitely like computer games, there wasn't even computers to start with. So we're in a generation, we're in the times now of that fast technology, and it's so sped up and so, you know, insular in 2 minutes, you know, doing all of that, and so much connection that's with people, yes, but it's not in the real life. And because you haven't got the body language to go with it, you're not really getting the full story of another person's position to understand it as much. And that's where I'm feeling there's miscommunication. It's not so much that it's wrong, it's just there's so much missing from it in how we communicate.
Oh, definitely. And as the technology takes over, it's getting worse and worse.
And I think that's a lot to do with the energy. It stirs it up in a way that it does feel more physical as well. Heaviness and all that's connected with, you know, body, mind, spirit.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And, you know, I've got teenage girls, nearly 19 and nearly 15, and the way the oldest one probably not on technology as much as the younger one, but just to get the younger one the last couple of weekends out of her bedroom and go and sit in the sunshine and communicate with others in a way that's pushed her boundaries, it's been incredible to see the change in her, sort of thing. And I think sometimes we need to go back to those basics. You know, I remember as a kid going and playing down the road with the neighbours, sort of thing. We were lucky we had an oval across the road from us. That the outside was a racetrack, and a farmer would farm the inside of it, and it had a big sort of waterway through the middle of it. And we'd go and play in the mud and, you know, go down the corner and collect tadpoles and stuff like that. Come home filthy, but we had a ball, sort of thing. I don't think on those nicer days like that, I don't think our parents seen us too much. But, you know, why? Sometimes we do need to go back to those basics and strip away all this technology at times.
Yeah,
the world is changing, Dee.
Yeah.
Imagine where we're going to be in 10 years' time.
Well, I think that's part of the scary thing. You sort of wonder if it's changed this much in the last 30 years. I mean, I did calculate it recently. 1982 was when I had my first desktop computer, and it was Microbee. It was the times that you actually had to type your own programs in with a lot of what you did with them, including, you know, a spreadsheet type program and all of that. It was type your own. That ages me. But I did turn 59 yesterday. That's why last year of this decade. But it's that length of time. I think I worked it out that it ends up being something like, I worked it out, 40-something years now. I've forgotten that, and that's showing my age. It's over 40 years that I've been in front of a computer screen. basically.
Mm.
Not that I'm actually locking myself in a room and all the rest, but it's the growth of how the technology's advanced in that short time, and so much sped up in the last 10 years as to miniaturization and what you can do on a phone that surpasses anything at all we even imagined way back, you know, and the little watches.
Definitely.
If those that remember Dick Tracy days cartoons, which that really is aging me, you know, everything was on the wrist, and you can get them now, everything's on the wrist.
Oh my God, I reckon I was in Woolworths the other day, it must have been Saturday, and the guy's sitting there swiping his watch to the EFTPOS machine. I'm like, seriously?
Yeah, exactly that.
If it fails, because he wouldn't have his wallet or anything with him, but everything was on his watch.
I mean, it's the total reliance. Yeah, the total reliance that we've gained now on these little machines, like a watch size or on the mobile phones, you know, swipe it across the machines. I can understand the level of possible fear that people have of things being overtaken, you know, the world being overtaken by the artificial intelligence machines. You know, movies that were made 10, 20 years ago that had that sort of apocalypse type thing of machines taking
the chip under the skin.
Are we following what people are creating, you know, back
I think so.
Those years? How are we on our personal level actually doing that for ourselves? If it's that powerful from the creativity of those 10, 20 years ago to see this and then it's developed, we can do exactly the same for ourselves if we have our creative mind putting forward what we want to be in the future, where we want to be, and manifesting that for ourselves. Why can't it be? It's been done in the movies.
That's it, for sure. So, you know, we can imagine looking at look at flying cars. They were talking about flying cars. When was that? Back to the Future had a flying car. That's really my first thought of a movie. Yeah.
Now I would go back to cartoons way back, the Jetsons.
The Jetsons, of course. You know,
that was the first one that came to mind. Probably yes, it would have been. So, so
it's only a matter of time. You know, my husband's an Uber driver, and Uber's talked about flying cars, sort of thing. So
and then you're looking at who owns the space and who's got this and who's got that, and thinking, well, I'd rather sit in my own space, being the hermit at the moment, and it's so easy to do. It really is, because I'm still connected with the world. Yeah, Samantha says the Jetsons too. There it is.
I love it.
And
so that's another thing. I think the world has sort of gone down the point that we can become those hermits and sit in front of the screen and become lonely. But then, and I look at that with my teenage daughter, my youngest. She has a lot of friends online, but she's lost the ability or the comfort of the ability to actually communicate with people face to face, sort of thing. So, you know, it is taking it away from having to communicate face to face type of thing. And don't get me wrong, it's great that, you know, you can be, what are you, probably a couple of 100 Ks from me at the moment, and we can do this side of things. But, you know, it's also great to have that face to face communication, the touch, the hugs that we give each other when we do see each other. So, you know, I can understand how people do, especially teenage kids and these computer games and stuff, that's all they do now is sit in front of the screen. You know, I guess I look at parents out there that sit out at restaurants now, and I understand their frustration. My kids weren't the best at sitting still when you go out for tea and stuff. But the first things, even in the doctor's surgery, the first thing a lot of mums do now is pull out the mobile phone to watch a video or a game or something. And they could be all of not even 12 months old yet. And I'm just thinking, this is where it starts. And, you know, they are tools that helps life be a little bit easier, but they become addicted to it at the same time. So
yes. Now I forgot which one I went and put. Oh, that's right. You can have lots of friends online, but who's there in real life? That's exactly what it is for some people in their own lives.
I'm
just wanting to respond to Katie. As far as Katie Garrity, you are asking for a reading. At the moment, I'm not feeling led to be doing the readings whilst we're actually in this discussion. So I'm just explaining that for some of the time that we do our intuitive chats on a Tuesday morning, there may be reading time, there may not. It just depends what we're feeling led to. So if you are putting up questions for readings, please do not be offended if we don't get to them. It's just what we feel. And because I'm the host, like I've got the controls on my side, if I'm not feeling led to it, I won't put them up. And I don't want you to be offended by that, because our aim isn't just a reading show for this one. It is discussion or chatting or whatever. Takes our hearts in the morning when we first get on 2 minutes before we actually go live, basically. So
exactly. It's where spirit takes us. And guys, we'd love your input. Please join in the conversation, because we want your feedback as well. And, you know, it's your lives, your experiences, and we all experience things and look at things from a different point of view. I always say to people, there's no right or wrong. You know, there's no judgment. It's whatever you feel and whatever you work with. Samantha was trained on the way. I can't even get my tongue around it. On the way everyone, exactly. And, you know, I guess because I kind of, over the years, have developed this ability, and I don't know if it's spirit, it's my training, or what, or it's just me. I kind of look at people and I don't just necessarily see what's being put in front of me. I look at the bigger picture and I start to break things down. You know, I quite often in my reading, like let's say, for example, have a woman come in and go, my husband doesn't show me love, he doesn't show me affection, blah, blah, blah. They are making that assumption on what's happening right there in that moment, sort of thing. I step back and I go, okay, well, let's look at why he's like that. What was his relationship like with his parents? What were they like together? Did they show affection to each other? Was he showing that because was he conditioned to that side of it? Oh, thank you, Josie. So, you know, there's ways I guess for me, it's putting the words to the feelings at the moment, because I guess I get quite passionate about subjects like this. It's, you know, taking a step back, looking at the bigger picture, understanding where they're coming from, and, you know what, we can help teach them how to show affection and stuff like that, because a lot of stuff comes back to our conditioning as children, sort of thing. So,
and even our own self reinforcing that conditioning that we've grown with as children, because we don't know any better. And I think that's where the awareness and the growing awakening that a lot of individuals are having now is part of that process, because as you grow, as you have things shown to you by spirit to give you that awareness to move on and question what your beliefs actually are. Why are they? What is behind them? Like you said, you don't really know sometimes, because it's, you know, conditioned. It's actually anchored in your brain. Even anchors can be pulled up and moved or cut off, or whatever you need to do with that. There's ways of actually shifting the energy around what we've got in our lives to move it forward.
That's it. You know, I'd love to have a segment one week, Roz, where we talk about religion, sort of thing, because I find that really fascinating. I don't think religion is a wrong thing, and, you know, you've been growing up in religion yourself, so that's probably why I'm so drawn to have that. Hey, Faye, hope you're well, honey. Have that conversation with you and look at both sides and look at how it's changed over the years, sort of thing, with that. So, Josie, my very psychic myself, and I understand all this beautiful, honey. And, you know, we get these subjects, and, you know, if anything resonates with you, you take it on board. If we've got you looking or thinking at something a little bit differently, or you could be somebody that is suffering in a controlled environment that wants to break free, that frustration of wanting to make those changes. You know, if it means looking at the bigger picture and doing what's right for you. Because I think a lot of people's souls are restless at the moment. They are pushing for change. Hey, Belle.
Yeah, and starting to question, I think, too, because what is seen as the norm now isn't feeling comfortable. Like you said earlier, you know, the energy is shifting. It's feeling hard.
Yeah. And I think it's important just to do what's right for you as an individual. You know, my ways might not be the way that suits you or anybody else, but, you know, it's my experiences through life that have helped me get me to this, where I am now. And believe me, it's been a rocky road. And it still can be, but it's making the best of everything. I choose to sit more in that positive energy, but at the moment the energy has me a little bit frustrated at the same time.
Yeah, and being open to, in this one, if you ask the spirits and believe what will happen, they'll come to you. I mean, it's something too that even with the religion side of it, you're asked to believe something. Well, it really is looking after what your own self is and your part in that whole bigger picture. I still like to think of life being like the jigsaw puzzle, that every single one of us has our place in it, in the global context, even in the cosmic context, and that we've got around us. So it is a bigger picture. And we can then look into, like the microscope, you know, we can look into it to that infinitesimal smallness of it too, as to what our part is in that. And is that what's making me do, you know, that I'm feeling like that, or something else, or why I believe that. And
and that's it. And I think if we can understand what is going on around us, it helps us to understand why we're feeling the way we are. I think you had a real key word there, Roz, because it does make a difference. We take on other people's energy. There's a very fine line between what's ours and what's spirit or what's others, sort of thing. So it's knowing what's ours.
Yeah, having that awareness. And I like this that Josie shared, because even in the deaths of my parents, you do, whoops, had the wrong one. I've just changed. Why is that one? I just, my mouse finger, so obviously Spirit wanted that one up.
Okay, so God says, my husband isn't overly affectionate and doesn't talk a lot, but that's how he was brought up.
Exactly.
But would I be right, Beau, in saying the more time he's spending with you, because I've come, like I have met you a couple of times, that you are more of an open person, you are more of a communicator. So you're probably finding that as time's going on, he's starting to take that energy on because he's seeing you being able to do it. So he's sort of stepping up to the mark, so to speak, slowly.
Yeah, I'm feeling that. That's almost like where you have that, you know, the scales that are held by the, you know, the Libran thingy. That old-fashioned scale where it is our own influences are gradually getting to the point with each other in relationship, that's about, is that our goal, that we actually want to be like that, and for how long, and is it boring? I think it's always going to be something that's got the levels different at different times, and that's what makes life exciting.
It does.
To be able to actually perceive that that's where we are, I think helps a lot in our understanding, not which one you are, but just that, you know, I mean, it's about balance. It's trying to find that suits each person in a relationship, or, you know, and it doesn't have to be a partnership of marriage or whatever, you know, girl, boy, or whatever. It's business. It's any type of relationship. You're always going to have that sort of a balancing act. So.
And as long as it's coming, what you're putting out comes back. That's the balance. When you're putting out constantly and not getting back or getting much back, then it throws those scales out of whack.
Yeah. Now, this one is actually a long one. So, it does feel hard. I don't think it's a bad thing. It's a leaning thing. It feels hard now, but one day I'll look back and wish for this moment. And then when we've aged, when our children are grown up, it's hard to get the head around the moment and the struggles through. But they were meant for that particular moment in time.
Exactly. And we learn from it. Yeah,
that's right. That's what you feel. That's what you're feeling and you're expressing in that moment. And it's great to be able to do that. You know, where some people in some countries you can't express anything. And we are lucky to be able to say what we want here in Australia and many countries of the world, but it's not everywhere. So that's part of the different peoples that we are, isn't it?
Yeah. How time has changed so much.
Yeah. Thanks for that confirmation, Bill.
You are very welcome, honey.
Bringing out of a shell. And it sometimes does take a complete opposite to do that for us as well, too. Just to show those pieces of the puzzle.
That's it. And, I quite often look at people, I think I was saying last night, I said to one of my clients that when there's things going on, the person that she was talking about will pull back and close down a little bit, but doesn't mean he's not dealing with that stuff. It's kind of like, that's his mannerism, that's the patterns in him. So whether it's about giving that person a little bit of space to work through that head noise at that time and then see the change in them next time, sort of thing. So, it's getting to know the individual and how they work, because we all work differently. We all deal with things differently. I guess my frustration keeps building until it gets to a point like it has the last few days, and things are sort of triggering, and it's like, I've had enough. It's like, I've got to voice how I feel, sort of thing, to move that energy. So I'm going to feel really good this afternoon. I'm letting this frustration out.
Yes.
And it's interesting.
I just noticed with being, in the back end of it and sort of looking at the comments stream and stuff like that as it comes up, and the little screen where we have ourselves, in the division at the moment, I'm assuming we are 2 on the screen because that's what I've chosen. When I was explaining the balance in that, was it just you still as solo, or was it the both of us and doing that thingy? Because I clicked something, I thought, I'm not sure if I was actually on the screen at the time I was explaining it.
I'm not too sure, Roz.
I can't remember either. I'm going to have to watch this one back just to see. Having an awareness of the other stuff that's going on around us in the background sometimes too, even though it's not the be all and end all, it sometimes does make a difference to actually have that awareness to know what's happening there. Like when you're driving along in a car and being aware in the rear view mirror, watch your rear view mirror, fairly frequently, in case so that those times where you're pulling out, that you're not actually doing that in front of a car that's coming up by the side, if you get what I mean. And
yes, definitely.
So as I'm doing this, I'm thinking, oh, well, okay, that's fine. I might have not been on the screen while I was explaining something, but that doesn't matter. Yeah. You did go off screen briefly. Oh, thanks, Tina. Now, thank you, Sonia, too, for that. That, our talks are very helpful.
Thank you.
I consider it a bit myself that we're just talking to friends.
Exactly.
Because I'm talking with you as a friend, and we're sharing as friends, and we're talking to friends who are out there in a place where we can't be physically, but this technology sure helps.
It's exactly, great. And it is a good thing in that sense, and that's what I loved when we had the Wellbeing Centre. There was 4 or 5 of us different healers, or whatever my modality is the word I'm looking for, that we could sit around the kitchen table, and the interesting conversations we can have. And, we might not see each other physically for a period of time, but we've got this connection where we can do this stuff. Yeah. Or if we don't have that connection, we can still pick up like it was yesterday. Sort of thing. It's just easy.
Yeah. And that is where it's so, I don't know, it does make it more real life, I suppose, and sometimes where it's that division, where we can sometimes lose that feeling. I'm not trying to think of the word realness, but, with people we haven't met, we forget that we haven't actually met you in real life, but I think, I'm feeling like I know you as if you are my really best friend type thing. Well, school days best friend forever, all those sorts of things.
Exactly. And we could have known each other in a past life, but you had that same connection with your beautiful friend that passed last week. You never met him face to face, but those years of communicating with the world between you, so then you just kilometres between you sort of thing. So,
and there is a live tribute for him coming up on Friday, which is our Saturday, so I'm going to be part of that too. And it's still it's that feeling of it was real. So I do enjoy this type of connection. And I've just noticed one from Tracy Meyer, and I know we may or may not do some readings. I still don't know, but this is one because my daughter is due for her baby next month. What month are we in? No, she's still got a bit. She's due in November. So that'll be number whatever grandchild for me. And there's just one that roughly when it could happen, please and thank you. It's when baby wants to.
I think the number 3, so I don't know if I'm looking at 3 days or the 3 is in the date. I think it's more 3 days.
I think an indication might be the little bottles there too. You already told your own story with that one.
Oh, was it 3 bottles, was there?
I'll show it again.
Oh my God, there is 2.
So, I mean, sometimes you actually have your own answers without being aware of it. So open yourself up for the messages and you'll get that gut feeling and know, oh, that's right. Okay.
That's it. Exactly. Oh, that's great. I love it. The signs from spirit.
Yeah, it is. And we do receive them in so many different ways. And it's what feels right for you, gut feeling wise. I still go back. That's why, we're calling this intuitive chat, because it's going with the gut feeling. The flow that you have in your own energy will guide you to where you're receiving it from as much as where you're putting it out to as well. So understanding what's going on within before, I didn't read that before I put it up. So that was just what I said, wasn't it?
Before you put it on.
Understand what's going on within.
Another point to that, Amber, is also, and I'm finding that in my life, like we've got people around us with mental health issues going on, and it's not just 1 or 2, there's several at the moment as well. And, I've been there to help support them and help them with the tools to make change in their life or try to make change. But 11, oh my God, beautiful, spirits with you.
Yes.
But see, I've even pulled away from that a little bit at the moment because I felt like the way the energy has been lately, they are stuck in that drama, that victim mode at the moment. It's not just your normal mental health side of it. It's like they're keeping it going in a different energy is probably the words that I'm looking for at the moment. And I choose not to go down that track at the moment because I don't think it serves them or it's serving me at the moment, because it's just if I do go down that track, it's playing into that energy that they're very stuck in, whether they realise it or not at the moment. So, why keep it going? It's just my thoughts at the moment with that side of it. I guess I'm lucky I can use my intuition when I know it sort of runs deeper, or they may need something else. But it's just, why give them the energy and keep that power running to keep that feed going, sort of thing, in that sense. So I don't know.
I think part of that, I think, is just like you said, stepping back. And I know some people actually find that can be difficult. So, what sort of tip or tool can you use? We actually are looking at a screen right now. Every one of us is looking at a screen to be part of this live in whatever format, whether it's on the phone or whether it's an iPad or tablet or computer, whatever. Yeah. You're looking at a screen. And the tip that I'd just suggest when you need to step back from something like that is to place that situation on the screen in front of you as if it is a screen that you're looking at.
Yeah.
And be the witness of that and take your emotion out of that. You are looking at what is a life movie, real life movie type of setup, and it gives you that disconnection from the emotion so that you can actually see a bit better and easy the broader picture and understand a bit better. Now, why are they doing that? You can analyse it a bit more like it is a movie script or play or something that's in front of you.
Perfect.
So I think that might be a way for those who do find it difficult. Just imagine they're on the screen in front of you and stand back like a witness. Step in when you feel you need to.
That's brilliant, Roz. I never thought of it like that way. And I guess that is that taking that step back out of that energy, taking that breath and grounding yourself in that sense, sort of thing. So, watch it play out in front of you by taking yourself out of that for a moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this one, it does come to mind. I'll just leave it there without reading the full bit. If, those who are watching can read that and take on from that what they understand. And it is the way, devices even step back away from your devices, even because they can still hold you in a pattern that's, can be addictive.
Yeah. Exactly. That jealousness, that bitterness, that is an energy on its own, and it's quite powerful in that sense that does take over. And unfortunately, I've lived with that in my life for probably the last 15 years or so, sort of thing. So, and I've been judged for what I do, not just the psychic side, myself and my husband.
And yes, what Amber is saying there, it allows to see it's not it is not if you, but something being triggered in that person. And that's part of that stepping back so that you can actually understand that too. Look, it's not me, there's something happening in their life. Disconnecting it from you being a personal thing against you, it's got nothing to do with you. That other person's only concerned with themselves too, and why they're putting out what they put out. So
exactly.
That's why others. You go.
I was going to say, I love that saying that used to be up on the board that Mandy put there for a while in the kitchen at the wellness centre. It's not your monkey, it's theirs, sort of thing. So, whether it's their feelings, their thoughts, their judgment, or they're talking about you or whatnot, that's none of our business. That's their problem, sort of thing. And do you know what? I see that with one of my family members with her depression. She gets very much in her head and very hung up when she's in that negative mindset about what is people saying about me, what are people thinking. And, I guess she does come from an area where there has been a lot of judgment in her life, and that paranoia takes over. But, if we can step out of that energy at times and let it go, it's amazing the effects that can have on us, sort of thing, when we let it go. It moves a lot of stuff. So
with that, sometimes it actually is really hard to let go of some of that. I sort of like, why do we keep attached to it when we really don't want to be attached to it? If we're really trying, where it's something we really don't want, what is it that's causing that? And trying to analyze that. What's the difference between what we're feeling as compared to what our emotions are? Because I still do think that there is a difference between feelings and emotions, but which one's what and what are we working on? It can be quite confusing.
Yeah, and I think that's why it's important to take that step back and, pick one to focus on it. Look at what resonates with us the most and work forward from that, because it's about taking small steps forward, sort of thing, and making that change.
So a very good point there, Amber. Thank you for sharing that.
Exactly. And, and Roz and I do a lot of work on protecting our energy and stuff like that, so we don't take on other people's energy in the work that we do. But not everybody has been given the tools or learnt that side of it like we have.
And it takes practice. It's never perfect.
But
in that imperfection is the perfection.
Remind yourself to. That's it. And, even after all these years of doing this professionally for myself, I still come across people that will get through my protection occasionally. And it's kind of like we do, as we grow and as our vibrations rise, we've got to change the way we work as well. So it's going with what I call going with the times, so to speak, sort of thing. And it's, I have one where I felt very ill after spending some time in a situation, and it was actually an expo, and it took a toll on me, but it was also a kick up the ass for me to go, hey, okay, you've sat comfortably in this energy for a while now, you need to up your protection as well. And we do need to change it at times. We rise, our vibration changes.
Yeah.
So,
yes. Yeah. So with that, just as a question for a tip or something that you would suggest to those that are watching, whether it's as the replay or the wonderful people who are live now with us, it's interesting just seeing back end, we've got the number of viewers and the comments and all that sort of thing that you can see here as statistics. I mean, it's all well and good to say, should do this, should do that. What's the tip that you would actually suggest as being the most helpful for untrained people, just to be able to start from a point to, say, protection for your energy? What would you suggest is the easiest for anyone to take on?
Yeah, well, I always tell my students when I'm teaching beginners mediumship, put yourself in a bubble or something that you resonate with. So something that you connect with, whether it's one of my students one day, he used to boil a fire. But the further I went into it, because I'm thinking fire's hot, it burns. The further I went into it, he connected with the dragons and that side of it, sort of thing. So I think that came from a past life thing a little bit. But I always say to my students, first of all, start with a bubble. See yourself in a complete bubble, sort of thing, like your cone of, who was it? Maxwell Smart. They used to have the cone of silence. It'd come down from the top. Yeah. But you can still get underneath.
The other day.
Exactly. Yeah. So I guess it's like, well, you go to the show and you see these big plastic bubbles, they blow up with kids inside and they're running across the water in these bubbles. See yourself in a bubble like that. So that is your protection and sort of thing. So whether your walls are sort of in close or you've got about a metre out or whatever, you can choose where you feel that you want your walls to be. But you just keep practicing it and it becomes second nature. Like, I don't deliberately sit now unless I really need to and go, okay, well, I'm putting my protection in place. I've got to learn that it's there. I trust it. But you can strengthen it. You can thicken your walls. And that is something I do practice. If I see negative energy coming towards me, I see my walls go from about 1 inch thick out to about 4 inches thick. So that is something that I'm still very aware of in that side of it. But there's no right or wrong way to do it. Just make sure it's complete. Another one I quite often say to people is, if you're dealing with issues or negative energy, see a mirror in your mind between yourself and the other person, with the mirror side facing them, so they get a reflection of what they are putting onto you, so it reflects their energy back at them. Okay, gives them a dose of their own medicine.
Yes, it does. I have used that one myself occasionally, the mirror. And it's in my mind that way as well. Look, it's not mine, it's your mirror. I like this, Natalie. Lovely. If it ain't your issue, just give them a tissue, offer them a hug and some coffee in a mug. Very poetic.
Perfect. I love it. Sometimes we just got to be the ear that somebody to communicate to move that energy. They just need somebody to listen, but we don't have to take it on. Sort of thing. So
yes, Cass's is a very big comment there, and quite true. We can do so much in our own little bubble, and it's almost that insular, but and that's why I like the bubble image as well too. So because it's something I'm used to, so it's great. Yeah. Did you want to?
I just want to touch on the white light side of it, because some people will protect themselves with just the white light. The white light is light, it's fluffy, and it's not solid type of thing. All right, so things can still get through it. So I like the fact that you use the bubble as well, and you're adding other things into it. But some people, I quite often find, will just bring in the white light around them, and that's their protection. Things can still get through light. Light is transparent, so to speak. So, sometimes like I said, I like the fact that you've added other things in there as well with that. So, and sometimes as we grow in vibrational energy, we've got to change the way we protect ourselves. I started with the white light, and, it didn't take long for things to get through it. And I've gone on to the bubble, and I've gone on to different things. I use a Perspex cylinder now. I see myself in a Perspex cylinder that comes from the universe and goes into Mother Earth.
I think that does come down to individual choice again as to
Definitely.
what actually suits you yourself personally, because that's how you've developed yours to grow into the different ways that you're using. I did start with the white light as well. And someone had commented to me, look, if you actually cutting off completely the energy that's coming in from the outside and you're using something that's so solid that nothing will get through, you are also blocking what is good. And that's how I had it explained to me when I was first starting to use a white light, because it was that question that came through. And I think it was the intention that it was all that is good and beneficial for the big picture of the whole. That is all that you're letting through. And it was more like seeing it, perceiving it as a filter rather than something that was blocking. So I use different layers because for different purposes, basically. I think it's, and that's where you'll have the right person come in to teach you what is the right method for you. And that's where the intuition, the gut feeling comes in again. Go to those things that come in as you might receive the 3 messages, see it 3 times that there's a really good workshop on and you're feeling attracted, I'm not sure. But if your gut feeling's telling you go to that person, do that and learn what you need to from that one particular person and go to another if it's needed. Follow what is for you.
Yeah, and that's it. There's no right or wrong. And that's one thing I always say in my workshop, especially my beginners workshop. Go out there and do the learning and learn from different people. I've had about 5 different mentors in my life, and I haven't always agreed with some of that stuff those mentors have said, but I take bits and pieces and I make it my own. So, a teacher is there to give you the information and share, and to give you the tools that help you and work out how you work.
And make it your own.
That's it.
I like that, Lynn. That's wonderful. Yeah. And I like this one too. It's Big Straw from Core to Universe. Like that.
It is. It's great, honey. I hope you're well. And so, you do what's right for you. I don't like going into these workshops. They get my back up in a sense at times when the teacher sits there and says, you got to do this. This is how it's done. I'm like, nobody ever over the years, people have learned not to tell me you got to do this, you got to do that. My family have had to give it to me in a different way if they want me to do something, because my back does go up.
Yeah, it's probably why we get along so well. I've never being told what to do.
No,
never.
You can make suggestions or you can give me ideas, but you don't sit there and say you must do this. And I have been to a workshop where the teacher said this is right, this is how it's done, and I'm like, no, hang on, we're all very individual people. It's working out what is right for us. And I look at myself when Spirit pushed me down the line of teaching and mentoring is I can only give you the tools that I've learned and help you work out how you work. And that's the way I look at it. It is, honey. Life is our own recipe, and we can make it whatever we want. But we need to, and I guess the point is we need to be in control of that. We are the ones behind the driver's wheel, nobody else.
Yeah, and so many times with any recipe that we're following as well, I really like that comparison to being a recipe, because there's so many recipes that have the similar ingredients, but it's the tweaking with those herbs and spices and the seasonings and all the rest that will make it just yours. And what we are actually picking up when we go with our gut feeling, when we're actually taking on and opening up our responsibility really is to be open and aware to what is our psychic ability, our connection with spirit, our universal right, that we are here to be able to access that. And no one is closed off from it. We only keep ourselves closed off from it. So being open.
I think it's important to stay true to ourselves, not just in the physical, but on that soul level as well.
Yeah. So pretty much on that note, it is actually 11:30 now. My clock on the computer's just rolled over to it.
Wow. We can our shows, Ross. We can talk for all day.
It went quick, really. So it's wonderful. thank you that we could chat as we have, and thank you to those who are live with us as well for commenting and putting your contribution in the chat stream. I don't put every one of them up, as you will have noticed if yours hasn't been put up on the screen. You know, it's just as I'm led, and that's what I'm honouring. So thank you to those two that can understand we're not always going to do readings. There's the few snippets, and that's what it is. But Leanne, you do have your regular Wednesday evenings that you do readings.
Wednesday, 8:30 Australian Central Standard Time. I dedicate that hour each week for, and it is every week, to do little readings like that. So you can certainly welcome to join in on my page, Leanne Winston Psychic Medium, for that. So and thank you to those that are watching on the replay. Please add your comments in as well, because we do get a chance every now and then to go back over the comments and have a look at the same time.
I try to pretty much straight after. I'm not sure if I will be able to this time, because I'm on a broadband Wi-Fi box with limited data while I'm up here having some time off, so to speak. I'm still going to be online, but it will be a bit limited. But also, like, as far as doing live readings and that, at some point in the future, I'll let people know if that's an avenue I'm feeling led to be going down, as doing live readings as you do, or similar to. None of us do them the same. I'm feeling, that's right. And I'm feeling, yes, there is more that's going to come forward for me, and that'll be something, because I'm an ad hoc, go with the flow type person. You'll find out when it happens. So
I'm a bit the same.
Is there for the Hypnosis Plus, because hypnosis is the basis of what I want to work from, but there's so much plus. You just can't list everything that each and every one of us does. So be open to being guided by spirit with whatever you do, and honouring yourself in that connection as well.
Just stay true to yourselves.
And if you do want a daytime type, like a show that actually is a daytime readings session, it'd be lovely to have that feedback if that's what you feel that you actually want to see too, because I'm aware that there's not, I mean, it depends where you're wanting to get the readings from. If it's US, I mean, you've got to be at whatever time, and UK, you know, what time zones are. You know, just put your suggestions in there, share the shows with those that you feel would benefit from it, and whatever. So go with where you're led.
That's it. And if you've got a subject that you'd like us to chat about, let us know. We might not always have the answers, or we may be able to resource some information or somebody else that we could bring in with us to share on that being their stronger points as well. So we're open to anything, wherever
anyone
shows take us.
To have a guest on.
That's it. You might have something in your life going on that you'd like a little bit of input on, sort of thing, that we could give you some tools to help with that. If we can't do it, we will resource it. So I'm sure between Roz and I, we can find the answers.
Great. So yes, thank you everyone, and we'll be the same time next week, 10:30 on a Tuesday. So until next time, thank you for being here with us, and for those on replay, and we'll see you next week.
It sounds like Tony's making your lunch.
Yes. I'm having a nice time here. So.
Lovely.
Next week will be
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.